Let's move to the next process, the planning of stakeholder engagement. This is all about creating an action plan about how to interact with the stakeholders, how effectively we interact, how efficiently we interact, etc. This is usually done at the beginning of the project and also updated certain intervals. So let's have a quick look at the outputs. Okay, we have only one output to bring here. So the stakeholder engagement plan is created. This is, as you can see and understand, this is the component of final project management plan. It can be done in many styles. It can be done broadly, it can be done with a lot of details, or it can be done formally, it can be done informally. So basically, it contains all the strategies, all the action plans that the project manager will need to promote the involvement of the stakeholders. So let's see what inputs that we need. I think all of them are quite generic inputs that we have already learned. So let's quickly hover through them. We need project charter as input. We need different components from project management as inputs. We need project documents as input. We need multiple agreements, whatever we have learned, them as inputs. And of course, the default enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets are taken as inputs. Okay, moving on to the tools and techniques. Again, we have expert judgment, different data gathering techniques we can use, data analysis tools, we can make use whatever we have learned, decision making tools. So everything that you can use, you can be using here. Data representation, I think we have to focus a bit here because the Bimbo guide specifically mentions about a representation tool called mind mapping here. What happens in mind mapping is, again, I make use of the pen. We have stakeholder 1, stakeholder 2, stakeholder 3, stakeholder 4, all of them listed. And then we do an engagement assessment matrix. Because we are talking about the engagement of the stakeholder, we categorize the levels of engagement. What levels of engagement are there? For example, if he is not aware of anything that is happening in the project, that means he is least engaged. On the other hand, if the person is actually leading the project, then he has the maximum engagement. So he's self-driven, he's leading the project ahead. So that is the maximum engagement, and minimum is he's not even aware of what is going on. So there are also some 3 sub-steps between this least and the highest. So the first thing could be he's unaware, right? Or secondly, he's resistant, or he's neutral. I'll make good use of, because of the lack of space, I keep reading out and then I think you can understand it. So we have stakeholder 1, stakeholder 2, stakeholder 3, for example, and then we have 5 stages of engagement. The first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, and fifth stage. In the very first stage, we have unaware. He is not aware of what is going on in the project. The last, we have leading, right? He is maximum engaged. So the stakeholder 1, is he here or is he here? So similarly, what are the steps in between? We have somebody who is resistant, somebody who is neutral about the project, and somebody who is supporting but not leading. Right? So these are the 5 different stages of the engagement level. So what happens here is, in this representation model, if a person is here and he wants to reach at this stage, he has the desire but he's still not aware. So that is the level of engagement that this person needs, right? So how do we identify it? Instead of using these arrows, they are given simple letters like current level and desired level. They use C and D in this decision making matrix. For example, the person 3 who is identified here, he is currently neutral, for example, and then he wants to, his desire is to become supportive. So when we finish such a table, we understand that a person 3 is currently at a neutral stage, and the project manager desires, or the person himself, the stakeholder himself desires, that he will go to a supportive stage after doing this engagement activity. So in addition to this, we have multiple meetings that can also be used as important tools and techniques. So let's move to the new process, manage the stakeholder engagement. This is also basically done throughout the project, not done at any one point of time. This is basically about solving the problems between the 2 stakeholders. If there is an issue, we give a solution to the problem. Anything that is stopping the stakeholders from being engaged, we have to provide a solution to this. Let's have a look at the outputs that we are expected to give. Change requests. Any change requests that come up during the process, they can be updated. They are to be updated. The components of the project management plan, like communications management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, they are updated here. The project documents like change logs, issue logs, lessons learned, risk register, all of them are updated here. And what inputs we will be needing, again, we can see all the general inputs. So all the possible components from project management, they can be referred to. All the project documents which are relevant can be referred. The default enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets are also referred as inputs. Let's have a look at the tools and techniques. Again, similar expert, who's somebody who's expert in the engagement techniques, he can be consulted. We should have a very good communication skills to bring out the team and improve this engagement. Same goes with the interpersonal and team skills. Somebody who can motivate, who is quite successful in engaging the stakeholders. Ground rules. I think we spoke about the ground rules at the very beginning of our lectures. These are nothing but predefined agreements between the team, between the stakeholders. It's like the team charter, right? Team charter, we all understood what that is in the previous process. So this team charter is created, which has basic set of rules that that every stakeholder has to adhere to. So they become very important tools and techniques for improving the engagement. And finally, the meetings, as we keep on discussing. Moving on, monitoring the stakeholders. This process is also done throughout the project. All those strategies that we have created so far, to boost the engagement, they are assessed here. So the performance of all those processes, we are going to control them or monitor them. Let's have a quick look at the outputs. We have 4 outputs to bring. The first thing is the work performance information. This could include the status of the project, the status of the engagement level matrix that we discussed, whether the engagement level has been improved or not. So that's about it. And the change requests, whatever change that has been done, they have to be updated here. The project management plan and the relevant components get updated. Similarly with the project documents, the issue logs, lessons learned, all the project documents, you can update it after the process. Let's move to the inputs. Again, as you can see, the same set of generic inputs. We can refer to all the components from the project management plan, all the project documents, relevant project documents like risk register, issue log, they can be referred to. The work performance data, anything that is related to the stakeholders, that can be referred to, and the default enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets are also referred. Moving on to the tools and techniques, we have multiple data analysis tools that we can make use of. If you recollect, we have alternate analysis. We have 2-3 options, and then we select one of the alternatives. That is the alternative analysis that can be used here. Root cause analysis can be used. So such data analysis tools and techniques we can use. The decision making, like different analysis, like voting, for example, we can make use of voting for some decision for us to arrive. Multi-criteria decisions are also taken, like we have different criteria, what solutions we have, right? So such techniques can be used here. Different data representation, we have learned so many of them through the course, so that all of them can be put to use here. Different communication skills, like giving frequent feedback, the presentation skills about the project statuses or the proposals that you're giving to develop the project or develop the product, all of them come quite handy. The interpersonal and team skills, we keep on talking about this, how important it is in this complete knowledge area. So active listening, leadership, networking, all these skills, they are quite handy here. And of course, the meeting. All right,